Yes, so hello and welcome here at the webinar in the Smart City Network webinar series. This is the second webinar in the series, and today's topic is about facilitating energy transition at city level. And today we have speakers from Plan Energy with the Danish case examples, and then from the Basque region we have from the Basque Energy Agency. So this project, or the Smart City Network, is a project within the Smart City project, and testing. Yeah. So we have sound. Okay. So as I was saying, the Smart City Network is a network within the Smart City project, which is a European Union funded project with 35 partners from 6 different countries, where the aim is to develop strategies that can be replicated throughout the European cities. And this Smart City Network is a way to reach out and share the experiences from the project to new cities interested in also transitioning. The Smart City Network webinar series is for city planners, policymakers, companies, government researchers, etc. And as I mentioned before, they are being carried out to share the knowledge of the partners and to attract new members to our network. All webinars are online or will be available online at smartandcity.eu. We already had the first webinar about strategic energy planning in countries and cities, and this is online already at smartandcity.eu. So today's agenda is I will shortly introduce the presenters and the topic a bit more, and then we will have 3 parts, where part 1 is about local energy transition processes with Danish case examples. And then in part 2, we will go into depth with a concrete tool that can support this local energy transition process, also from a Danish context. And in part 3, we will hear about collaboration between local and regional actors from the Basque country. And then we will wrap up the webinar with the questions and the introduction to next webinars. So to just introduce shortly, today we have, as I mentioned, speakers from Plan Energy. It's my colleague, Per-Alex Sørensen. Unfortunately, my colleague that was intended to be here today, he's ill, so he cannot be here, but fortunately I had a good replacement in my other colleague, who has also been involved in regional and municipal transition processes in the central Jutland region and Ringkøbing-Skjern, which are today's cases. And then myself, Simon Stenstrup Sørensen, I work at Plan Energy as well, and where I've been using this energy balance tool that I will present later. And then from the Basque region we have, or the Basque Energy Agency, we have José Ramón López, who has been working at the Basque Energy Agency since 2002 and has been involved in various projects funded by the European Commission. Yeah, so let's move on. As mentioned before, this is a webinar series, and we are planning to have 5 webinars. So we already had the first one about the overall strategic energy planning in countries and cities, and then today it's about the more going into detail at the city level. So how can we facilitate that? And if you have any questions for the webinar, please write them down in the question box at the GoToWebinar software tool, or email me afterwards, and then we will try to get back to you and answer all the questions. So this was the introduction, and now we will move on with part one, which is my colleague Per-Alex Sørensen presenting Danish experiences about local energy transition processes.
Welcome also from my side. I will give you some examples from the Central Denmark region and Ringkøbing-Skjern municipality, and then I will end up with some procedure for the local energy planning process. So what we have in Denmark, and it was presented also in the first webinar, is we have some energy scenarios made from the government and in the central level. And these scenarios, that's typical forecasting what can happen in 2050, and then backcasting from that. But how to make this into implementation in the real world? So that's the topic today. And to understand the Danish system, you have to know that we have 3 levels. We have a central level where the legislation is made, it's a governmental level. And then we have a regional level and a municipal level. And first step here is about the regional level. And what's interesting about the regional level is that they are without any formal authority. So what they do has to be accepted from the municipalities, and they are not forced to participate. This example is from the Central Denmark region. There's 1.3 million people and 19 municipalities. And they have some targets for the process when they want to implement, or they want the municipalities to implement actions for renewable energy transition. First, they want municipalities to work together, because some of the actions will be for more than one municipality. Typically, if you have a biogas plant, it can have raw materials from several municipalities, so they have to cooperate. The overall target in the region is to reach 50% renewable energy in 2025. And they have reached 33% in 2015. And they know that quite precise because they make energy balances every year. And you will learn later on how to make that. And another target in the region is to create and keep local workplaces. That's actually the reason why they do a lot of work in this sector, because they have they're the home for several companies working with renewable energy. And if they can transform imported fuels, I think the region is maybe importing something like 18 billion Danish crowns for fuels every year. So that's 2.5 billion euros they use importing fossil fuels and biomass for the energy sector. So if they can produce something of that themselves and use their local labor force, then they want to do it. They had in 2014 to 15 a process with strategic energy planning. And in that process, they had a group in the western part of the region. They had to find out what are the resources, what are the biomass possibilities, wind power possibilities, and so on, and do it in a way so it can be used in the whole region. So there was 6 to 7 municipalities working together in that topic. Another topic was transmission lines for district heating and extension of district heating networks. And that was eastern part of the region, municipalities from that who carried out that topic. And the third topic was a group of municipalities with large rural areas. So the topic for the last group was how how to make this transition process in the rural areas. And these three groups then merged together and discussed which focus areas should be in energy plan for the region. And they took out 7 focus areas. I will not go through all of them, but what's interesting here is that when they had taken out all those focus plans and what they wanted to do, we made a scenario calculation in energy plan to see how far this could bring us. And the result was that in 2035, we were actually on 90% renewable energy. So it was quite sufficient to see that this bottom-up process could bring us quite near to the end target of 100% renewable in 2050. If we take out one of the focus areas, this is biogas. There was a mapping process where existing biogas plants was mapped, and all new ideas was also mapped where there was already a planning process. And then it was discussed how should the future be for biogas. And there was set up a target of processing 75% of all manure. And that meant that there should be 10 new large-scale biogas plants, which was not in the planning pipeline at that time. And also, it was not allowed to use energy crops for biogas. It should be waste products and waste from industries. So that was the regional level. And then for each municipality was set up priority areas, what they should do in their own planning. And then they should take over and make their own plan. So let's see what this municipality, Ringkøbing-Skjern, could do. They are in the very western part of the region. It's 57,000 inhabitants and a little less than 1,500 square kilometers. It's actually the largest municipality in area in Denmark. So they have made energy balances every second year. This is actually part of the regional energy balance that every municipality have their own, and when you summarize them, then you get the region. And as you can see, they have reached 56% renewable in 2013, and the target is, they have a municipality target of 100% in 2020. So they need another 44% in the last 6 years here. So what they did was to make a process where first step was mapping the status and the local opportunities. Second step, getting stakeholder input and commitment, which is very important if you want to realize the targets. Third step, setting political priorities, and fourth step to realize it. We'll go to step 2 because the mapping is a bit boring, but here's the stakeholder involvement. And there was 3 stakeholder workshops, one of local renewable energy resources, another one of heat supply, and a third one of energy savings and transport. Altogether, we should cover all energy consumption. And the stakeholders invited was utilities, local entrepreneurs, NGOs, local business, and politicians. And the politicians, it's quite important that they are there and they show that this is important for them, so that everybody takes it seriously. And for each workshop, there was around 50 persons. And the process in the workshop was that we presented a status. How is it about, for instance, district heating? What are the perspectives and what are the actions ongoing now? And then we pose some questions to the participants. Do you have some ideas about the potential local actions? And could you find, we had some proposals ourselves, and then we said, could you find other relevant local actions? And then there were group discussions, and ended up with a summary and a conclusion of proposal of local actions. So that was those 3 groups. When we went to the political level, we could see the target was 100% renewable energy in 2020. So we had to make a material showing how this could be reached. And if we take one part out of it is this biogas, and from the workshop we had, well, there was one biogas plant called Bioenergy West, could be implemented, another one in a local dairy, and a third one, phase 2 of Bioenergy West. And then also some demonstration of how to use straw. And if this was realized, then we could rise the renewable energy percentage with 12.3%. So that was for each topic, we presented these ideas for the politicians and make them say, is this too low, okay, or too high? Here's all the proposals. And if you summarize, then you'll reach the last 44% and summarized to 100 in 2020. So the politicians discussed each of those areas, and then they said too low, okay, or too high, and then they decided in the end actions which could cover the last 44%. And this was for the whole, all the politicians in the municipality. And they agreed on the plan, and that's not unusual. That's actually what used to happen. And these politicians, they are from the socialist part in the very left side to the liberal part in the right side, and they used to see the opportunities and agree upon that kind of plans. So we do this in the same way nearly every time when we have a municipality who wants to make an action plan. We start with discussing with the administration. How can we make the plan? How can we ensure political ownership? How can we ensure ownership among the stakeholders? And how to transform long-term strategy into action today so that it ends up with some practical things you can start doing. Then we have the workshops with local stakeholders, and it can be done in many ways. And the example from Ringkøbing Skjern is only one. And then we take the workshop with the politicians, and finally we have the political decision and implementation of the plan. And as said before, the normal result is that there's 100% agreement, not only among politicians, but also among stakeholders. And that means that you are in a very strong position when you want to implement the plan. So that was all from my side. Please save questions to the end.
Yeah, and thank you. I will move on with part 2, where we will go a bit more into depth with a concrete tool that can support this process of the local energy transition. So this energy balance tool that I'm talking about is also used in Smart City, where it's been used for Sønderborg and also Zenovgrad to create results for baseline activities and the diagnosis. There will be an English guide about the tool available at smartcity.eu, and if you're interested in trying the tool, please email me at this email address. You can find the slides online after the presentation as well. So just to start out with, what is this energy balance tool that we are using in the Danish municipalities? It's a simple Excel tool that is using energy data from a geographically defined area to display the energy system and how this is performing within this geographic area. So as I said, it's a simple Excel tool, and we have it here as an example, and you can see on the left here we have different fuels. In the middle we have different plant types that are using the fuels to convert it to energy that we can use, which is on the right side where we have energy users. So this is actually the principle behind this simple energy balance tool, that we have some fuels that are being converted into energy that we can use in the end, and the tool is tracking how these different parts of the energy system is performing, so to say, so we can get some interesting results about the energy use and the CO2 emissions. So an easy example of how the path of a fuel is that we have a power plant in the area that we are researching, and the power plant is using coal to produce some electricity, which is then distributed in the grid to the end user. So as I mentioned, this is what the tool uses to create some results, and these results can be on the overall level for the area. So we can say something about what is the primary energy use, and how what is the renewable energy share in this energy system, and also what is the CO2 emissions from the system. But it can also provide us some more detailed results, for instance, about energy use in different sectors in the area, or the fuel use in the heating sector, for instance, or the CO2 emissions from the different sectors. So we can get some results that both tell us something about the area and overall, and also we can know something a bit more in detail. This is results that are really useful for the municipalities in Denmark. So all municipalities in Denmark are using tools like this, and this tool in particular is used by municipalities in the central Jutland region that my colleague Per Alex was talking about before, and also the northern Jutland region, and then several other municipalities as well, including Sønderborg, which is a part of the Smart City project. The way it is used in the municipalities is that it's primarily used by the municipal technicians, so it can be a climate coordinator or an energy technician who are using it to create an overview of the local energy system in the municipality or in the city. And this can also be used to report to the Government of Mayors this baseline emission inventory. But you can use the tool to get this overview of your local system. It can also, it's also being used to monitor the development of the system, to show the major challenges in the system. For instance, if you look at the CO2 emissions in the various sectors. And then, of course, an important part of the tool is that you can use it to discuss and prioritize your actions, because it's also an interactive tool. So when you put in new numbers, or what you could say, you can get new results, and this can provide you a basis to discuss and also to make an energy action plan that is based on facts. So these are all elements that can support the strategic energy planning and the transition process in the city, and strengthen the basis for the politicians to act. So I will now just show a few more graphic results that the tool will produce. So as I said, it can give you an overview of your local energy system on an overall level, and provide you the possibility to monitor the development. So what we see here is the energy consumption in actually the whole of central Jutland region since 2006, and you can see the development in the use of fossil energy and in renewable energy. Also, as I mentioned, it can show you some of the major challenges within your system. So here we are focusing on CO2 emissions, again in the central Jutland region of Denmark, and you can see since 2006 how the development has been in the various sectors, and this can help you point at where, if you are looking at CO2 emissions, is the major challenges. Here again, it shows different sectors, and then it's the use of fossil energy versus the use of renewable energy. Yeah. And then, of course, and really important part of the tool is that you can interact with it, so to say. So when you use the tool, you can, for instance, you can go in on wind turbines on land if that's a priority that you are looking at. You can put in new numbers, which will provide you some new results, and this connects to what my colleague Alex was presenting about this energy action plan. So when you get the new results, you can see the effect of it, and this can help you in prioritizing what actions that you should go with. As Alex also was talking about, this can be used to make a list of potential actions. So when you look at different potential actions, you should, of course, decide how far ahead the strategy should go. Is it 2030 or is it 2050? And then you should look into what is already adopted of targets and actions in the area that you are working with. You should look at or find the stakeholders that you should work with, and then you can make this list of actions that you want to prioritize. And when you have, for instance, like you want to increase the wind turbines on land, or you want to increase the use of biogas, or you want to lower the heating consumption, whatever the action is you are working with, you can insert the actions into this energy balance tool, and then you can get an idea about what the effects will be. And when you do this for different actions, you can get a scheme, so to say, for different kinds of actions, and it can again help you when you want to make this energy action plan and help you in prioritizing the different actions. Yeah, so this is just to summarize how this energy balance tool is used in the Danish municipalities. So we have the possibility to get this overview, and we can see the major challenges. We can discuss and prioritize the actions to make this energy action plan, and then of course we can monitor the development. And just to briefly say why the strengths about this tool. It's easy to use, and you can get some useful results really easy. And then you have this scenario possibilities by interacting with it. The main weaknesses about it is similar to other energy balance tools, that you need some reliable data sources to create a fact-based energy balance, and that can be difficult, or more difficult in different countries or regions. And then you need some resources to collect the data, because it can take a long time. So it's important that you are realistic when it comes to collecting your data, meaning that sometimes high complexity and large data sets is not necessarily equal to be better. Sometimes you need to settle for the data that you can get. And for instance, in Denmark, it can be really difficult to find reliable data for the transport sector in local areas, and also for like individual heating with biomass. And then another lesson or advice, or what you could say, is that it can be really important or helpful that you use and choose a transparent energy balance model that is not too complicated, because you can do things over, and then you can learn about it. But if you have you need more information about the tool, or if you're interested in trying it out, you can send me an email, and I will get back to you. So now we will move on to part 3, and I will hand over the presentation role to Jose in Spain. So just 1 second.
Hello. Hi. Hello, can you listen to me?
Yes.
Okay, okay. So one minute, I will upload my presentation, and you can see my presentation.
Yes.
Okay, so I will start. First of all, thank you very much for inviting us to participate in this webinar. We're going to talk about the effective collaboration between local and regional actors in our region, in the Basque Country. The Basque Country is a region in Spain, in the north of Spain, quite small in surface, just 7,000 square kilometers, but with a population of 2.2 million people. We have around 250 municipalities, 6 of them are over 50,000 inhabitants. And the administration of the region is divided into 3 provinces that are Araba, Vizcaya, and Guipúzcoa. The main important cities are Bilbao, Vitoria, and San Sebastian. With this irregular distribution, we have to manage to organize, to design our local energy planning for our Basque municipalities. First of all, for our region, and then for our municipalities. So, who are we? EVE, Ente Vasco de Energía, the Basque Energy Agency, is a government's agency dealing with energy issues. Our mission is to propose energy strategies for the Basque Country using criteria of supply security, cost competitiveness, and sustainability. And we have to take part in developing these strategies and contribute to meet their targets. So with this strategy, we contribute to save energy and supply energy through renewable energies in our municipalities, fulfilling the targets 2020 by the European Commission. In the year 2009, we signed the Covenant of Mayors, that is a European initiative, and we are coordinators of the Covenant of Mayors in our region because we believe that playing this role of coordinator in this initiative, we could help our municipalities to meet the objectives set up in the European Union plans and in the regional energy strategy. Which does the regional energy strategy consist of? Now we are launching the strategy for the year 2030, and it's based in a low greenhouse gas emitting energy system that needs to be created way of zero consumption of oil for energy uses, zero consumption of fossil fuels. We need to reduce the intensity of fossil fuel consumption, especially in the most vulnerable industries and those most open to competition. For 2030, we are targeting a 40% improvement in the Basque energy intensity, a 30% share of renewables in final consumption, a 40% use of alternative energy sources in road transport. In the future, energy saving and efficiency will be essential to reducing the economic impact of energy system in high energy price scenarios. The electrical system also will be playing a stronger role. Allowing active integration of demand, electricity will be the key importance for consumers. As I mentioned before, the Basque Energy Agency is a link between the regional action plan and the local action plans due to double role as the Basque government's energy strategy designer and the Covenant of Mayor coordinators in the Basque Country. So in the Covenant of Mayors, which are the main agents in the Basque Country? First of all, there's the municipalities that are leading the process. Then there is EBE, the Basque Energy Agency, as Covenant of Mayors coordinator. And also there is a technical assistance that in most of the cases is subcontracted by the municipalities. I would like to make an emphasis that we consider that the Covenant of Mayors in our region should to be a tailor-made assistance, because not all the municipalities have the same problems, have the same solutions. So we don't believe in following, let's say, a template for every municipality to fit in, but we believe more in a tailor-made or bespoke assistance to the municipalities. So the model of cooperation is divided in 4 phases. The first phase covers the analysis of the situation. We help the municipality to make an analysis, and they then take the decision or not to join the Covenant of Mayors. Then the second phase is the signature. The mayor, on behalf of the city hall, signs the adhesion form that is sent by email to the Covenant of Mayors office. The third phase is the Sustainable Energy Action Plan. We help in the elaboration of the Sustainable Energy Action Plan, identifying the actions to be undertaken with technical, economic, and investment analysis. And last but not least, the fourth phase is the implementation of the Sustainable Energy Action Plan. That covers the implementation of the actions to save energy and introduce renewable energies in the scheme. How do we define an action plan? By the identification of projects or actions to be undertaken with technical and investment analysis for saving energy. Once we have those actions identified, we work in the implementation of the actions and projects, focusing on 3 points. First, the leader is the mayor with a board composed of politicians, technicians, and the Basque Energy Agency. Second, what should we do? What exactly does the municipality have to do to save energy? The energy managers, based on the Sustainable Energy Action Plans, set the priorities. And to finish, with the money, how do we pay? We try to help municipalities to find subsidies. We have also a subsidies program. We also can put them in contact with European investment banks and the different facilities they have, like Jessica, Elena, or whatever you can imagine. So to date, following this process, 19 municipalities have joined the Covenant of Mayors in the Basque Country. Those 19 municipalities cover 50% of the population. So we have 4 cities with more than 50,000 inhabitants, 8 cities between 15 and 10,000 inhabitants, and 7 cities in cities that have less than 10,000 inhabitants. We have to say that at the moment, 16 municipalities out of 19 have already submitted the Sustainable Energy Action Plans, and 2 of them are working on the Sustainable Action Plans right now. And those action plans cover carbon reduction from 21% to 39%. So at the moment, we have boosted more than 200 projects with this financial help. And I have to say that in the CEAFs, the actions that cover the CEAFs, related energy consumption, we have like 27 to 52% projects in number of municipal buildings. 8 to 19% are focusing on the residential sector. 3 to 16% are focusing on service sector. 8 to 29% are focusing on the transport sector, and less than 1% are focusing on the primary sector. So that's all from our side. Thank you very much.
Yeah, so thank you, Jose. And yeah, this was the webinar for today. So if you have questions, please write them in the question box now, or send an email to me at sss@planenergy.dk, and then if it's for Jose, I will forward it to you and make sure that you get an answer. I cannot see any questions, so we will just wrap up the webinar. This is part of the Smart City Network webinar series, and you should go and check out the series. Okay, I think we have one question from Peter Ratje in Sønderborg. Can you write it in the question box? Until Peter he's finished writing, I will just again mention that it's part of, or this webinar is part of this Smart City Network webinar series, and the Smart City Network you can read more about in the smartcity.eu website, and it's the webinar will be available to revisit at this website as well, where you can also find the other webinars from the series, and you can also sign up for the newsletter from the Smart City project. So I cannot see Peter's question yet, but please let me know if. Okay, I think we have it here. Okay, so Peter's question is for Jose. He is writing the percentages on the last slide of the last presentations. Were that the realized CO2 reductions of the single municipalities? And if yes, which baseline year did you use? So, Jose, did you get the question? And
sorry, I cannot read the question on my screen.
No, I will try to read it for you again.
Okay.
Yeah. So Peter Ratje from Sønderborg, he's asking about your last slides in your presentation. These percentages that you showed, were that the realized CO2 reductions of the single municipalities?
Yeah. The last slide include the objective of carbon reduction from municipalities that is projected in the Sustainable Energy Action Plans of our municipality.
Yeah. Okay. So that's the projected reduction. And which baseline year did you use? Is it the same for all municipalities, or is it different?
Yeah, the baseline year is 2010. 2010, in some cases 2011.
Okay.
Okay, does this answer your question?
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, so unless there are more questions, this is just to introduce that, so this were the first 2 webinars, and then in during this spring or before summer, we will also have 3 more webinars in the webinar series, and these will be about energy supply and buildings, transport, and citizen engagement. So yeah, sign up for the newsletter and make sure you check the smartandcity.eu website about these webinars, and we will of course also invite you for them. Also, just to mention that the Smart and City Network is having a workshop for interested cities. It's in Lecce, and it's already on the 22nd of February. But if you're interested, you should really go and check out the smartandcity.eu events site, and you can read more about this workshop. So thank you very much for joining our webinar today, and see you